remember. I can forget like the best of them.
Sign
Okay,
up.
I think you're on.
If you like.
Sign up. What time is it?
Well, usually like right around 7-ish.
Oh, around 7.
Yeah. Sometimes they get here early, but I don't do this until like a few minutes before. That clock is off by about 10 minutes. It's fast.
It's 7 o'clock here, folks.
7 o'clock here.
Ding, 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 ding. Round one. Round one, little caller.
Sorry, I won't do that again. You'll have to pay.
But I will. I'll do it again.
Thank you. No, it's.
I don't have. I'll need to practice that.
All right.
Poetry of all kinds, ladies and gents, is welcome here. But we do ask you to respect the mic and each other. Keep conversations to a whisper. Put phones on mute or vibrate. Twirl around the room if you like. And do not distract the speakers or pass in front of the amplifiers because we don't have any of them. Also, keep to the time limit, an eternity, an eon, maybe a week, a day, but usually 5 minutes. That can change.
However,
Remember, we've got 2 shows.
2.
Dr. Seuss's 7-ish and his 840-ish. So I ask for generosity. Give me money, give me children, give me whatever you like.
Second born.
By going short,
Yes.
it helps to get everyone on the mic. You know, angels on the head of the pin.
Yeah.
Same kind of crap. If you want to be in the loop,
Bloop.
go to
Thank you.
Chicago. Sorry, but I can't take you. Meet me in Kansas City. We have an opt-in email list, a Facebook page, and we stream live with, up the creek without a paddle. Thanks to Mr. Natural.
He was here a
The
minute ago,
Natch.
actually.
The real Natch.
The real Natch,
The
yeah.
living Natch.
The living Natch.
Remember, the ongoing theme. Never doubt that a small group of committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has Margaret Mead.
Arigato. Arigato.
The evening's theme is pond scum or circular reasoning or a combination of the two. Also, next week's feature will be...
Next week's feature will be...
Good. How are you?
Johann Sebastian Bach. No. Yeah. Sandra Anfang. Or Anfang.
Easy for you to say. Anyhow,
Diphthong, sing along. Yes.
now as to the first show, the keynote will be,
Keynote is Brit Peter, for God's sakes.
while our feature is...
Our feature is Shem Korngold, who blew it out the roof last night.
Yeah,
just so you know.
yeah.
I was there.
Yeah.
I fell out of my
Wave,
chair.
wave.
Had to go to the bathroom on the floor. Sorry, too much information.
As to the second show, the last word will be the
Cursive-
Sanderell.
cursive writer, the Sanderell, however you want to say
The
it.
mini feature is...
The mini features Tommy Avacola Mecca, who's
And
here.
we have fabulous door prizes,
I'm just gonna
window prizes, roof prizes, attic prizes, and cellar prizes. And we don't sell the cellar prizes either.
Beep, 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 beep. I'm backing up. Okay, so this is very quick.
They are.
There's 10 of them here. The American Indian in America, Volume 2, early 19th century to the present, just in case you want some history. Native people. This is the Southern Poverty Law Center, if you really want to read.
Great.
Paul Simon, transcribed, if you're a
Nice,
musician.
very
There you
nice.
go. Julie Otsuka, When the Emperor Was Divine, just so you want to know. Blue Maze, Rosemary Ibarra Garcia, great book. She was here a while back. Poets and Writers, the most recent one. Native Peoples, Garden of Healing at Haskell University. And then Magical Display, the Art of Photomicrography. So if you take a look at these, they'll tell you what those are pictures of when you get there. And this ruined book, which was impressive to me,
Ruined book.
is The Ability to Love by Alan Frome, PhD. So if you know Alan Frome, you'll say, I'll get that book and buy
You'll
it.
love him. If you know Alan Frome, you'll just love it.
He has great ankles, let me tell you. I shouldn't have said that. He told me never.
Be advised, although we record the evening, if an audience member wishes
I
to do
forgot
so...
these. Never mind.
What? Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I totally
We
forgot.
also have other prizes.
These are the non-book prizes. So the co-pilot was Sharon Scott Kish is doing that tonight. The keynote, which is Britt Peter, is going to growl us into oblivion. The last word, which is the cursive writer who starts and ends the second half, being the mini feature. Tommy tonight, but 8 minutes in the second half. And someone says, let's have poems about flowers. So you get to choose a thing. All right, I'm done with that stuff.
If an audience member wishes to do so, please ask permission. We will assume you've done so. That's it. I'm done.
All right, there you
I'm
go.
out.
Give them a round, and then Britt Peter, come on up here. And we'll get started with the showboat on the road, as we like to say. Close the door. What do you think we're doing? Heating up Canarsie? That's what she used to say. All right, give him a round. Come on, get him. Pino, gonna kick us off here.
Okay, somebody mentioned the Hispanic poets last week, and I dipped back into it. Modern poetry, for me, began not in English at all, but in Spanish, in the poems of Lorca, said W.S. Merwin. That still pool of the air under the branch of an echo, that still pool of the water under a frond of bright stars, that still pool of your mouth under a thicket of kisses. Federico Garcia Lorca. And this is a man that used the word awake more than once. Not my soul is not asleep. It is awake, wide awake. It neither sleeps nor dreams, but watches, its clear eyes open, far off things, and listens at the shores of the great silence. Antonio Machado.
Right here. Just give me the names of those people. Pen. So I'm giving him the attribution sheet so that when you read a poem by somebody else, I can have you write it down so I don't have to remember who the heck it was. And use my filler, which is always John Philip Sousa doing a tuba in D flat major, doing In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida with Frank Arnett and the Moonlighters. All right, so thank you, Britt. Canara, hiya! Hiya! You ever seen her walk on us? Let's cheer that, Brady. Make it real. All right. Thank you so much.
Good evening, folks. How you doing? Good. Has the world gone completely mad? Has the greatest creation of all species lost its way? Today I say humanity is up to us, the human race, to look deep from within the souls of your very being and stand up. I say stand up and shout with every breath that you can muster. I refuse to sit back and just occupy space, breathe, eat shit, defecate, and die. Oh yes, why my spirit cries out for freedom of these beasts. It's up to every color and every creed to do what's right. I picked up paper and pen to write the facts because I'm tired of these so-called fat cats and capitalism with their propaganda, lying, lynching machines, and racism is smothering Mother Earth. It hurts my soul to walk down the street and see people with no shoes on their feet. Concrete is where they sleep, and with no food to eat. And every day, thousands upon thousands of people pretend they don't see the ridiculousness of the homelessness and the hopelessness. And if I dare turn on my television, which tells lies to your vision, I'd be even more numbed out to the dumbness of the so-called reality shows that only show more and more crap. Here's an example of the direct-to-consumer advertisement. The true minority is playing with people's happiness with infomercials, telling me that I'm out of control with a mental disease this or a mental disorder that. Simply wanted to control every aspect of your very being through the DSM-5. The Diagnostic Statistical Manual on Mental Health, collaborating with the FTC, the FCC, the FCC, the FDA, the pharmaceutical industry. See, psychiatry is an industry of death. And the APA, the American Psychiatric Association, is strictly pushing pills. And the government on Capitol Hill is only concerned with, guess what, making more and more capital while our babies are being murdered with these psychotropic drugs causing suicide and people to kill each other. Am I my brother's keeper? Brace yourself, because this poem, it's about to get deeper than Moses standing against the tide of the Red Sea. You know, Martin Luther King Jr. had more than just a dream. He had a fighting soul that exposed truth to lies and discrimination, like J. Edgar Hoover had spies that tapped into the room of El Haj Malik El Shabazz. You know him as Malcolm X. So ask yourself this question. Am I part of the solution or am I part of the problem? Thinking that I can't make a difference. Listen, it takes a village to raise a child. Society and those who want to control this shit have gone completely buck-ass wild. Stop it, because see, this is not some feeble-minded so-called hip-hop or rap, even though it's lyrical. You see, my calling is equal stood in this spoken word game. I see you. I saw it in a documentary that's called Psychiatry as the Industry of Death, and that Benjamin Rush was dubbed the master bleeder in the field of mental health. And he's enshrined on the seal of the APA. Damn, that says a whole lot about how these killers of today get away with pushing side effect drugs across the countertops. And if you laugh too much, it's a mental disease. If you have too much pain in your heart from losing a loved one, it's a disorder. If you pee too much, but damn shit, we got a pill for that too. And the guy within you forgot how to type particular psyche, just in case you didn't know, the word psyche originated in Kemet, Africa, and it means soul. I behold truth and expose eye and eye to a higher state of consciousness. Does this make any sense to you as I get even more political? You see, my science is political words come into my brain like a child should never have to know words like special ed class. Thank you.
All right.
I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna go off the top right here. Actually, that young lady back there, this is her first time actually being here at Sacred Ground. But I want to say to her that I love you deeply, and I will always be sincere and honest to you, and you shall be Mrs. Uncle. Okay. True, anyone who really knows me could very well see that I would swim the widest oceans to be with thee, my dear lady. And around her I feel so free, as sure as my little niece is called Brady. A king has found his queen, and now I'm playing it for keeps. Because see, I'm not the type of brother that creeps when you're asleep and no page is going off with silent beats, and my soul with you has taken a quantum leap. And oh yes, I gotta speak the truth of my beautiful black queen. I said I would die for you. I said I would die for you I would die. I kind of complete this with you in my life, just like ganja being twisted tight, and as the world was dark to God, I gave it light. See, I never knew loving you could be so strong until we got on my knees and prayed together late at night. I would die for you. I know that's my time. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Give her up to this guy. All right. So that's how to kick it off, I suppose, you know. All right, let me read the next 5. Just so you know, we have Jimmy, Jane, Britt, Nancy, and Owen. Then Jeremy. Jeremy, are you new here?
Yeah.
Where's Jeremy? Oh, okay. Okay, I gotta put an N because you're new, and we'll take care. So James.
All right.
Give him a round, please, as he comes up here. And then we got James Radis for the kid. Yeah.
It's called Becoming the Beach.
Is it?
I don't think poetry is worth a penny. Might not be worth a thing. It might not even be for sale. It might be worth everything. Kind of like no thing sets a stage for a heart to sing. I was sitting on the beach that night, dreaming I was shiny silver white, a perfect reflection of the moonlight. A big grain of sand rolled up to me and said gruffly, "Aight? What you doing here, fool?" "Reflecting," I responded, smiling. "I reflect the moon." "You salt," he said, as he rolled away. Whatever. Every grain of sand wants to be the beach, I thought. They all shades of dirt, you ask. Fallen jetsam, cracked up flotsam, worn out pieces of starfish, shades of rust, stardust. They sand. I'm a diamond. I'm white. I shine. They got no reason to try to bother me. They just want to shine when they become the beach. So they all pray for rain. They think the mighty moon will pick the shiny one to race around, become the beach. Huh. One drop of rain, I go home again. Rain don't bother me. I can swim all diamond day.
All right.
How much time I got?
2, 3.
Let the chips fall. If I go now, I'll remember souls and spirits mostly. The good, not the bad. The temp fucked up. Some bads are just temps doing bad one more time before saving the world later. I got names. I'm taking names with me. I'll remember forever, I guess. If there is a forever. Or never, if not. No big deal. I seen war. I seen rain. I'll never be back here again. My life is spent mostly helping them to raise the rent. God save the rent. They'd think it was heaven sent. I would marry about 10 out of 10 if I had to do it over again. I would make a plan to be more active, less passive, more smart ass, less patient, and faster, better, living harder, dying younger, I guess. I don't know. Listening more, drawing out more, asking more for everything, stuff I don't even need. I'd pass it on, sing the accordant song. I'd have never loaned my bigger wrench or my level, my Edith Piaf. I would have played more badminton with my dad, who beat me like a bongo. Of course, there was winter to consider, and demanded better lessons on golf, Dad. Jesus, you got a scholarship. I don't think I would have ever sold anything. Just buy bigger warehouses for my stuff, my sailboat, my VW bus collection, my fave camisa, my horses Mary, Rosa, Sylvia, Barbie, Nancy, Jane, Shanti, all standing at the post. I rode them all fast as I could. I'll leave everything else to fate. I'll sit on the corner someday and cough my things away. Mostly leather. Outside the listening post on 2nd and Folsom, where they mocked the young lovers calling in from Iraq. I could finish the second part of this later if you want. Let the world decide what was so great about it. Moving out is sort of whack. How much stuff can a man carry back to God? God, if there is a God. I know the EU pretty good. You get one duffel bag there, soldier, and a backpack, courtesy of Word and Pages. Cain and Abel, Jerry Lewis and Dick Clark, George and Gracie, Laurel and Hardy, air and water, me, you, and us, them. Now if I talk, I can use any word, and they'll know what I mean. I'm in heaven. Languages won't hold us down. Where does the bus go? No, I do not know or care. Maybe it goes to no care. I saw a boat once with that name on it. In French, sans souci, I think it said. I'm just a subsistence writer. Faith and futures passing by. At last, at last, at last. I'll let the chips fall where they may.
Jane Radis. Go around as she comes up here, please. A soft-spoken individual whose note and merit is fame and fortune
Thank
have
you, Dan.
preceded her presence here.
Thank you, Dan. I have 2 childhood memory type poems. The piano lesson. Black friars, black birds, black coats flutter. Did I see them, or see a shadow, or only imagine? My father dropped me off early in the morning before school to take a piano lesson in the back of the convent. 6 floors lined with porches, an occasional elderly nun, small, walking slowly, long black habit ruffling, layers of black cloth swaying. Up a staircase, old, dark, varnished stairs creaking with each step, to a plain room with a piano in it and not much else. Blackness and whiteness of keys, little mirrors into this past, tiny windows, vignettes. Memory only makes it hazier. It seemed so clear for so long, and now I'm not sure how it really was. And I never did learn to play the piano. Traveling back in time. The map of our relationship is up on the wall. You're always to one side and I to the other. Roads and playgrounds and open space, free and windy, overgrown with dry grass, fennel, and remains of houses. I call you from an empty lot, and we're both 7 years old, out of doors, discovering old cars abandoned in the woods and wild raspberries. I almost knew at the time it was a wonderful thing to remember. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Rick. And I really appreciate people who craft their time well. I've got 23 people on the list right now, so I might get other people in there, so I'm just letting you know. Do your best, for God's sakes.
Thank you.
There you go. Thank you, David.
Okay. A San Francisco school. The kid spread out on the table in the middle of the room, his favorite resting place. Too big for the student chairs. At least he came to school that day. Over 6 foot tall with worker boots. No one could do anything with him. IQ below sea level. Did anyone notice he was named after a 19th century liberator? The seldom used para was talking about the Spanish poets. The survival lesson in math remediation finished for the day. Then, like a light going on in the storage room, our oversized visitor turned to his classmates and said in perfect English, "Listen to this. He knows about Ruben Dario and Machado." As far as I know, no further assessments were ever done for that man-child. Pond scum.
Yeah. Do it.
Filamentous algae over the surface of a pond. A chemical process that occurs when one doesn't attend to their pond. Behind a crumbling castle in a negligent nation or an ill-serving empire. Take care of your carp. Delete the starfish and the rotten apples that have fallen into the pool. Check the pond's water, not like they did in Flint, Michigan. And call out and deal with filamentous algae, aided by nefarious donors, before it rises to the top and obscures the beloved community with a quiet, thriving environment.
Thank you, Britt. Again, generous with the time. I like that. And now we have Nancy. Nancy Wakeman hasn't been here in a while. Give her a nice warm round. Then we got Jeremy, Stephen, David, DB, and Vincent Calabresi. I'm going to say that right one of these days.
Thanks.
I'll get it right.
Okay, I have a short prose piece. Sitting on a hill. I became a great aunt on the summer solstice. My niece gave birth to a baby girl, the 15th generation of my family born in North America. 300 years ago, my Puritan ancestors sailed across the Atlantic Ocean on the Arabella, one of 11 ships carrying 1,000 people fleeing poverty and religious persecution, looking for a better life, to an unknown, perilous land. We shall be as a city on a hill. The eyes of the people are upon us. We must knit together and foster interdependence among mankind. Man is commanded to love his neighbor. John Winthrop, their future governor, said. These words laid the foundation for the expectation that the Massachusetts Bay Colony and the United States would shine like an example to the rest of the world, an example in rightful living. 300 years later, the phrase, sitting on a hill, was echoed in a speech made by John F. Kennedy before he became president. My grandniece was born in Boston, the mythic Sitting on a Hill, welcomed with open arms, loved, kissed, embraced, wrapped in hand-knitted Afghans. Her arrival celebrated with a clam bake on the rocky coast of New England, a gathering of family and friends, bowls of clam chowder, lobsters and corn cooked over a fire on the beach, much drinking and laughing. A centuries-old tradition taken from the Wampanoag people. Many miles to the southwest, along the U.S.-Mexican border, people flying violence, political unrest, drought, and seeking asylum are stopped and held at the border, sometimes sent back to their native countries. Parents and children separated. Families unravel. Children are held in prison conditions, sleep on concrete floors without blankets or adequate food. Babies are left in soiled diapers for days. Some children have died. People are living in conditions that violate international law. The eyes of the world are upon us. What happened to the shining city on a hill? Is that only an illusion for a small, privileged white minority?
Thank you, Nancy. Again, thank you for the generosity with the time. I really appreciate that. Owen, and then Jeremy, and then David, and then Debbie, which is me. Sorry about that. Thank you, Mr. David. All right. Perfecto mundo. All righty, righty.
Thank you. I wrote two new poems. Grant Street, an allegorical exercise. Grant Street reckons, Grant Street beckons, Grant Street becomes. Grant Street is a silent howl, Grant Street bleats and repeats itself. Grant Street is as quiet as a lion. Grant Street leads and I follow. Grant Street cons and yawns. Grant Street goes to sleep and stays awake. Grant Street stays awake with the street lamps on. For the darkness. Darkness is mysterious. Allow the land around us to remain fallow. Gaze amaze, grace and sin. Your mind extols. Time to begin. On Muni Metro. Muni Metro in San Francisco is a labyrinth of tunnels and underground mysteries. From the J, which goes through the Mission, to the L and N, which go out to the C, to the K and M, which go to the Ingleside. They remind one of a Charles Electric train running along the tracks. They run along and sometimes remind one of submarines emerging from the water after a deep dive. The seats are hard and sometimes one has to ride backwards as the scenery goes by like a movie. Sometimes one is afraid of getting stuck on a delay, and I am afraid of getting trapped in a tunnel. And I am relieved when West Portal appears after we go through the tunnel. This is a poem that Steve Carlin, a friend of mine, said that was the best poem I've ever written. It's about Thunder. Thunder was our cat. O noble Thunder, gray as a sphinx, I worship your eyes, gray green with knowledge. Eyes green as the ocean floor, I knock at your large door. Great black hunter, so full of poise to please yourself, made 1,000 birds fall. Like ripe plums all fallen, catch as no cat can, catch a man. Paws stretched like the ocean's view, ponder wise, shine like new. Swing, clean yet swing, spells death to many, a bird on the wing. Claws he has with sharp ends, hunted down many our fine feather friends. All you sparrows, jays and wrens, robin redbreast, this is the end. For every night when the moon comes through and fog sits heavy like morning dew, through the mist, the brambles, the briar, comes Punder as he stalks. Every flyer through the long grass, can he ever tire? Mother and father, on whom I write yon ditty, found off wise, sometimes witty, as I now sit writing, stewing the lines. The times ahead now without these fears have prevented my tongue from saying what I wanted to say. Foolish fears these were that kept me away. Now Punder knows, and I do too, what's right, what's wrong with me, with you. He's been here, he's been there, he's never dropped us along the way. He's never worked, stopped only to play. He's shown us, he's known us, an example to many cats. He rests the sleepy snake's head. Life for him an eternal bed of roses and flies, and lilies' delight. Prancing through the night, like Shelley on the wing, my words take flight. Noble Punder outlives us all.
Thank you, Mr. Owen.
Thank you very much.
A couple of quick things. If you're standing back there, there's chairs around that you can, take a seat in so you can be comfortable. And there's other chairs being brought out just so you know. That this chair is not being used by anybody, and this chair can be moved or used by somebody. David has a chair over there. I think yeah, that's fine. I didn't know, Yeah. All right, and thank you. Oh yeah, well, I'm going to do a special thing. He knows. You know, right? You're right. All right, so when we have someone new, we give them a full round of raucous applause, loud, raucous, polite, and loving. So I would like you to welcome Jeremy to the open mic. Yes.
Thank you.
Well, now
I want to dedicate this performance to my student Day Day, who was killed last week in San Francisco. Young black, 15-year-old, beautiful boy who was caught in the wrong time, wrong place. This dedication is to him. I want a quick moment of silence.
I tell my students every day, we are more than bus drivers, more than gangbangers. I tell my students every day we are more than security guards. They're at the front door of the club and the dispensary. I tell my students every day we are more than somebody's maid, more than somebody's custodian, damn sure more than a janitor. I tell my beautiful students every day that we are Professor Xavier's for the school of the young, the black and the brown, and the gifted. We understand that royalty from San Francisco can shape shift to survive in certain spaces, because I most certainly code switch. On a daily basis, I night crawl through my city of San Francisco, feeling like one, looking like only. Eyes bulging, mouth twisted, head bent, trying to extend the olive branch. I am strange fruit in my own city of American dreams. Alex Nieto, Mario Woods, Oscar Grant, Trayvon Martin, Sandra Bland, Michael Brown, Eric Gardner, Neil Wilson. How many more names? Say their names. Do we even know their names? How many of them were no angels? But I can't help but feel melancholy. Some of us are treated like problems before we are valued as people. It was a long shot I would ever get my high school diploma, so if I'ma take a last stand, sacred ground, I'ma need first class. I'm a lover, not a fighter. But when society get to treating my people like mutants, grab the hammer by any means necessary. I am warlocked, and no matter how many times this country tries to bury us, they forget too often that we are the seeds coming out of the ashes, yelling our shade. We are the phoenix rising in numbers. We are the phoenix rising in temperature. Pyro, I marvel at the fact we've been able to control all this fire without it burning us alive. It shall be useful in lighting the torches of thousands. The melting pot is tipping. These are the days of future past. We are being hunted. We are being captured. And as my student Day, if we are not careful, we are being killed every day by sentinels. 20 years from today, you ask yourself, what did you do? When families are being separated and our children are being locked in cages. Legend has it some Black Panthers went through that. I ask you for one favor a day. If you exist up there, please don't let my daughter go through that. I hope she never loses her mystique or questions her place in the universe. Instead, as the world burns around her, may she airbrush her dreams with its embers. I'm only 5'10", but I play a rather colossus role in her life. So I ingrain the greatest superpower she'll ever have. It comes from her cerebro. And when fully operational, just like my beautiful students, she has the ability to elevate above tyranny and intolerance. But understand, as an Afro-Latino, if I were ever just to storm out of her life, then it will cause an apocalypse, inciting all forms of meteorological temps. I'm talking blizzards, I'm talking toxic fog, I'm talking tornadoes. My daughter, she gets long-winded whenever I'm about to leave the house. Because she knows at 6 years old, when daddy walks out of those doors, she might not ever see me again. So I wake up every day in beast mode, a manifestation of political activist and freedom fighter. Get a good fucking look. These veins, they pump revolution. Adamantium claws in the size of my oppressor. If walls in America are built, that's fine. I shall raise offspring who know exactly how to juggernaut right through them. We are the children of the atom. This is the school of brotherly love. And where I come from in the Mission District of San Francisco, this black and this brown together is indestructible. And even on my nappiest hair days. Hella goddamn beautiful.
Yeah.
And the last time that I checked, my people have been buried alive and used for pond dust. Yet we dust off our shoulders Millie Rock, because we too sing America. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Stephen Hendricks. Again, like I'm saying, I'm just saying. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Stephen. And then David, and then B. Sorry. And then Vincent Calvaresi. You got to tell me how to say that the right way, Calvarese. But what's the Italian one, though? Calvaresi. I like that much better. Calvaresi. All right. So try to make sure your time there, because we are like filling this thing out like a... Never mind. I was going to say a bad word. Thank you, Stephen, for being patient. All right, let me get you going. You're ready.
Manzanar, 1944. When I wrote this poem, I did not expect it to have a relevance today. My country, 'tis of thee. Sand settling like dust upon clenched eyelids, settling in the crevices of clenched teeth, settling in the crevices of clenched souls. Sweet land of liberty. Guards watching from their looming towers, watching with their guns pointed inward, watching those they're protecting. Of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died. Sons departing for the war to sacrifice themselves for their country, to sacrifice themselves for their family, to sacrifice themselves for their unborn children. Land of the pilgrim's pride. Homes emptied of their occupants, of their owners, emptied of furniture to be auctioned off, emptied of hopes and dreams. From every mountainside, barbed wire twisting along acres of fence, piercing outward-looking eyes, eyes looking toward the future, left to wonder with the wonder of torn flesh, bleeding, seeping into the desert, into the soil, into the sand. Let freedom ring. This is an ekphrastic poem, Basquiat, untitled, Black Tar and Feathers, 1982. Violent heritage brought forth from slavery past. Tar stuck to the canvas as it was stuck to flesh, ripping and tearing it from history without fully separating it. A visceral reminder of a horrifying punishment. The feathers and halos turn martyrs to angels. For us in the present looking back, trying to understand America now. How we got here from there. Basquiat reminds us that tarring and feathering still exists in symbolic America, juxtaposing the past and the present because that's what artists do. Arrows of outrageous fortune fall on us as legacy, as heritage from our own hands. We find ways to negotiate with ourselves, to exonerate from blame, from willing participation. We haven't tarred and feathered anybody, but there it is, staring us in the face. A mirror held up to the depths of our souls. We see the blackness, we can't deny it, though we try. Not us, but the black hand of fate has done this. And we're stuck in tar, baby, missing the train, traveling underground along the Ohio River.
Thank you, Stephen. Another generous person. I really appreciate the time there. David Vegas coming up next. Then there's Lord Fauntleroy, Aleister Crowley, James Dean, Margaret Mead, Margaret Thatcher. Just saying. Soupy. She remembered Soupy Sales.
Oh yeah.
Soup's on sale. Okay, David.
So Sharon inspired me to do something a little different. So I'll do lessons. This is one lesson learned in Brooklyn. So when I was about 11 or 12, 13 in there, my best friend and I, we lived in Poughkeepsie, upstate New York, about 2 hours from New York. Excuse me. And we'd get about $20, which was a lot of money in the late 50s. That was a lot of money, especially if you were preteen. And we'd get on the New York Central, and we'd go down to Grand Central, and then we'd take the shuttle over to Times Square, and then we'd get on the IRT line to Coney Island. Get to the very end of the line was Coney Island, and we would get out, you know, preteens, and the first thing we would do is we would go to the original Nathan's, which was really good food. And so we would, at preteen, we would start with 2 hot dogs, 2 hamburgers, French fries, and a quart of Coke. That was our, you know, beginning. Then we would go on the rides. There was steeplechase, cost extra money, so we didn't go in there. But we would go in. I think I learned all my bad car habits from bumper cars. We would go on the Cyclone, which was the original really nasty roller coaster. I remember going on the Cyclone the first time it was controlled going up, and I said, "Oh, this is nothing." And then we got to the top, and I couldn't breathe, I couldn't speak, and we rattled around, and we went on a second time to get rid of the fear a little bit. And then there was also the Wonder Wheel, which was like a huge Ferris wheel, but it had an inner race too. So, and at one point on the Wonder Wheel, the car would, on the inner race, it would swing out into the middle of nowhere. So once we went on, there were a couple of girls behind us, and we said, "Oh, this is nothing. We just go out into space," and they screamed, and we had a great time. We also went on the parachute, which would go up 250 feet, and you could see everything. People looked like ants, and then it was controlled on the way down. Unfortunately, a few years after we went on the parachute, the down control was not working, and when it hit the bottom, it broke a number of people's necks, so they closed that down. We were under the boardwalk was kind of like our, that was our tune, because we were always looking for girls, never finding any. Then we would go back to his grandmother's house. She lived a block from the boardwalk, from the ocean, and after eating all this food, she would make a huge hamburger that would fill the plate. And so we're sitting in the kitchen with her hamburgers, and when she went out of the room, we would grab a piece of the hamburger and fire it out the window to the cats in the alley, and to pretend we were eating it. Then we would stay up all night and watch monster movies, and then first thing in the morning, she'd be in the kitchen, and with the water, and we'd at 8 in the morning, and we'd just been to sleep at 2 or 3. And she, I don't make no noise, boys. I don't make no noise. The last time we were going to Coney Island, we were heading towards Nathan's, and we're walking on the street, and some big guy, about at least a year older and half a head taller, says, "Give me $5." I was, yeah, it's one. He pegged us for, hicks from the sticks, and so we each gave him $5. He said, "I'm Pepe. Anytime you're in Brooklyn, you're in trouble, call Pepe." I remember in high school in the 50s, if you saw someone in the hall, you'd say, "Hey, Lee, hey, Ken," you'd have this grunt. Guys would grunt at each other. So he'd say, "Yeah, Pepe. Yeah, anytime we're in trouble in Brooklyn, we'll call Pepe. We'll call Pepe." So that was the first bully lesson in Brooklyn. And I got more. The other, the other grandparents, I'll tell you about them another time. So we had other lessons from a grandfather who was about this high.
All right. Okay. Well, this brings you to me. All right. One of these days I'll understand what I'm doing here. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Give yourselves a round of applause. Pat yourself on the back. Pat yourself on the back. Now go like this. Now go. You try to do the best you can. All right. That one's gross. 2 pages of grossness. Okay. I don't like that one. I'll get there. Don't worry about it. Then you'll be sorry. All right. So, I believe others will take care of politics, but I'll get to that in just a moment. This is called Scars, and it comes in 3 parts. So, scars tell it like it is, was, at one time, one moment of horror when you become hidden by what they see on you. Any wound is real, a lesson, an instant that becomes years in the making, a book of sorrow, a choir of regret singing in your bones. Rows of orderly memoirs have their cemetery echoes, places where the scar hides chime in. No matter how one prays as one might for release, there is none from that which never knows time. 2. Out on the water, a sprinkling of rings, insects, fish, some little thing. Leaves turning and summer long gone, and if you look close, you'll see them at rest there amid fallen branches or underbrush, clumps of torn, feathery parts. Through your frosty breath and the long silence of chill air. Even the moon has its marks, even the sun, which makes our colorful horizons, wherein one's imagination may see it as they like. Still, your scars inform those who can read them. 3. Not bruised nor broken, the night's hidden whimpering and mutters, the child violence left off in early morning hours, without a mark, without a sign, questions that die in the silence of what is not ever said. Their eyes that say more for what they've seen, for what they need of love, and all that they might dream of.
Okay. Yeah, that was that other one. Oh, here it is. This is short now. Swear to God.
A or B? Oh, I heard A. Very good. So this is where you get to say, I wish you hadn't read that. Okay, here we go. Why are they killed? It's a simple question, really. And today, at this tiny moment, I direct it to the Saudi government. But as you'll soon surmise, there are others holding the short end of this shit stick. I asked the men there, why is it okay to kill their own mothers, sisters, daughters, or lovers for phoning, texting, driving, enjoying the sun on their faces, talking with a friend, for dreaming of a life made up from their preferences, their choices? What does having a sense of humor, laughing beautifully, or wanting the simple things in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness have to do with brutal assaults and murderous battery, rape, slavery, or an acid slap face? What is it about family honor? Why, when we hear of their moaning or mournful imprecations, do we not call their men out? How is it we recuse ourselves and do not ride to their rescue? Is it because of their hijab? Where are the white hats? Yes, they want simple things, freedom of the mind, justice for the soul, and unlimited peace in their feeling, emotional hearts. When will we reach out our hands? When will we answer our own big heart's unending call for love? Inquiring minds want to know. In supplication, I proffer these considerations, these notes to everyone I know. Amen. Thank you.
All right. Vincent! Vincent, oh Vincent.
And then we have our feature. I'm going to embarrass Shem one more time.
So circular reading or pond scum first? Pond scum.
Yeah, pond scum, yeah.
We'll go with pond scum. It was a difficult week, y'all. Pond scum. So this is called One More Promise Next. I can't move my arms and legs. I can only inhale softly. My eyelids can flutter gently. I am frozen. Paralysis like a statue, embedded in one place. My ability to open my heart is shuttered. There are a multitude of emotions simultaneously encompassing my radius. They overlap so much, I can't give them a name. When one relents slightly, another one propels from the top of my skull, spilling into my larynx, seeping into my aorta, bouncing off my diaphragm, gathering momentum into my lower extremities, moisture cracking my optics. A few of my toes involuntarily flinch, reminding me I am alone, having too much in common with my blackout windows. Will I ever get to hear an angel sing, see them unfurl their wings, take flight with light golden dust sifting down upon me, with the heavy boulder in front of the mouth of the cave, offset slightly, allowing a tiny hint of light, giving me a monicum of belief I am worthy of love. Blind faith is a gift I want to unwrap slowly. Trust in the universe, be one with the infinite. Never take for granted all that circles from pond scum to sunshine. seeing the heating rays pierce through the dissipating morning fog and dance upon the glimmer of the bay. I put my bare feet upon the warming grass and focus on the small space in front of my calloused heels and behind my ignored toenails. I ask you, who will be the purveyors to watch me stumble and fall, yet extend a hand to me? And as I sit upright, will there be just one more promise next?
Woo!
And circular reading usually is not poetry, it's fiction, but we'll go with it. This is called Sea Levels Rising. Standing on an island shore, hearing a constant echoed voice bouncing across the choppy water caps. They are your only family. Appreciate them while they are still alive. Or, she is your only mother. Spend time with her, or you'll be sorry when she's gone. I look down at the ominous nearing tides, the moon having its say, the earth on the imaginary axis, seeing my adolescent footprints rise, then dissipate. And I want to answer back. I need to explain. I need them to see. I want to reflect on my childhood and its violent toil, its lack of joy, its inherent sadness. But I am fatigued. I am beaten down. I am older. I am done. I want to confess why there is nothing left in my heart to give, that I have tried for years upon decades to build a foundation of understanding and active listening, where respect is the diamond standard. Emeralds are unclouded with compassion. Rubies are shaped with patience, set in a bezeled throng. But today's makeshift raft is dilapidated. Painful aneurysms have worn from both sides. It is doomed to sink. Too much blood has flowed down the rivers and through the valleys of despair to forge this unnavigable course at the mouth of a constant circular dialogue of rhetoric, where the only safety is discovered on higher ground, on a golden island reinforced with thick granite levees, separated by a calming school of unfed great white sharks. And as rising sea levels are constant, I turn my back to the beachhead as the western sun sets and their distant island trailing off is slowly being swallowed whole. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to make sure I'm on the thing here.
Moon over Hawaii. Okay, seven baritone solos. What's that? What did they say that? Five or six baritone solos in the cafe. That's what I really call music. Sandmail from some flounder. Okay, no one remembers. All right.
Ain't that a shame?
Yes, I know. Where is he?
Right here.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I was looking around and going, you stop right here. So Shem is the feature of the evening, and if you, I mean, like, here's the thing. I was at the word party last night, and he was the feature there, and you know, they're going to be doing some work on the foundation, I understand. He did rock the place, and there's some cracks now, and some of the things. It's not happening. But it's not his. You know, they didn't believe it was him. You know, when people are jumping up and down by the hundreds, you know, and doing the whole. Never mind. This guy, I always say he's jazzy. He is. Word poet, that's true too. He sometimes takes us on trips from word to phrase. I mean, it's amazing. And to some extent, he reminds me of David Moe. Not completely David Moe, but has that aspect up to him. I don't know if you ever heard David Moe read?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. We did. Anyway, so not quite like David, but he has his own style, and it's really good. It's very enjoyable, very entertaining, and then he slips those things into your subconscious conscious, and you don't even know until you like, wait a minute, I'm not going to do that anymore. Why? Shem read that poem. Oh, Jesus. So you're about to have a little bit of adjustment done to your psyche, and let him come up here and do that for you. Come on up here, Shem.
And we got to make sure this is correct. All right. And I'll give you like a 5-minute warning, a 3-minute warning. 20 minutes that I get. You get 20, and I'll give you like a. Okay. Yeah, give him a round of applause. Come on, you people out there. What's wrong with you? Come on already. Didn't I tell you?
All right, so the pond scum theme will be covered in the last poem. There's a character in there in the later part of the long poem that people who were there last night probably will recognize as pond scum. But I did write something this afternoon based on the circular reading theme. Maybe Roland Kirk couldn't see, but with a reed in his mouth, he could breathe circles around your reading circles.
Yeah.
Lived his life immersed in the three-sided dream time, multi-instrumentalist, yes, but simultaneous no less. Made his moves deep inside the groove, a curving and continuous didgeridoo drone vibrational gateway to a millenary collective unconscious. Woo! Interwoven with strident melody, subtle harmony, grabs you by the ear and tugs you by the spirit. When you hear it, you stop reading words with your eyes and start to read the world with your heart. If that's a gimmick, it's an artful one. I wish I had the talent and discipline to mimic. So I'm skipping ladies in waiting because I don't have enough time. But I'm going to do this longer one that was actually one of the themes a while back. I think the Sanderell did. It was the divider or the divisadero or something like that. This is called Dividers and Their Diversions. Dividers come in handy to distinguish and decipher, categorize and catalog, set criteria and parameters, tease out characteristics, separate the things so we can grasp them. Rulers and despots surely must be grateful for their clerks and analysts, systems and structures, templates, forms, procedures, keeping everything shipshape and up to date. If you can break a thing apart into constituent ingredients, file a patent on those parts and the formula to form the thing you broke apart in the first place, rebrand its newly minted existence and trademark your branding. Branding, an interesting word choice. Smell of seared flesh comes to mind. Then it's yours to do with as you will. All of Gaul is divided into 3 parts, declared conquering Julius in a moment of strategic imperial brilliance. Later these same Gauls, having been suchly divided, conquered, and acculturated, grabbed their swords and shield, hawked their homelands to the priests with a newfangled document called a deed of trust, and in the name of a Christian God stole land back for the Holy Cross of the Roman Catholic Church. Crusaders at the crossroads, sharpening their crosses, have had the rest of us in their crosshairs for a while now. Time and again they've doubled down, re-upped their schism mission to rent us asunder, feed the festering fissures between us, assure the final outcome, a scarification of false dichotomies. East and west, north and south, white and black, him and her, us and them, self and other, mind and body, man and nature, Romans and Philistines, Europeans and everybody else, heaven, hell, and back again. Once the portal opened, Americans came in droves with their deeds and new diseases to infect, rob, murder people who had already been here since time immemorial. Acculturate their young, kill off their cultures, cutting children off from their families and mother tongues, kidnapping them and hauling them off to boarding schools and orphanages. European settler Australians and Canadians performed this civilizing Christian service for their respective indigenous hosts as well. These industrious pilgrims broke everyone and everything down to their salient, manipulable, exploitable parts to sell, kill, burn, consume in the name of manifest destiny. Across the Great Divide they came in swarms, first the trappers and the traders, then the wagon trains with families and dreams in tow. The Rockies slowed them down a bit. Rough, mountainous upswellings, part of the ridgeback of the Americas, spanning 2 continents from Alaska to Tierra del Fuego, grand divider of tectonic plates and oceans. If the planet had a spinal cord, it would be this chain of mountains. Pioneers, outcasts, and outlaws came crawling across these steep, young, craggy ranges, often starving and feeding off each other in desperation along the way. The power-hungry, gluttonous, adventure-seeking conqueror minds set on destruction and consumption kept coming, no matter the odds of success, insatiable. Divide and conquer, eat or be eaten, survival of the fittest was and still is their interpretation of the underlying nature of creation, a lie that successfully divided us from ourselves, giving birth to the neo-Darwinist, post-Protestant, individualist, consumer capitalist conundrum we find ourselves now trapped in. But the miracle of life's true beginning was a wondrously elegant division. Amoeboid meiosis, divide and multiply its strategy. The differentiating formula of cross-pollination got thrown into the mix a little later, give or take a few 100,000 years or so. Life seeds learn to cross over from one to the other, collide, divide, multiply into miraculous multicellular configurations. Mitosis, the key to greater variety and complexity. Couplings and interminglings, an assortment of odd accidents, engendered features able to fit in to any and all emerging niches, do that evolutionary drift thing between organisms and their environments, most often more like a conversation than a competition. Copulation, communication, commingling, consensual cooperation, counterintuitive to the contemporary concept of a mind-body split. But it only takes one person with any random stick to draw a line in the sand, soil, gravel, snow, or silt terrain, depending, to commit the violent act, within which is contained the threat of more violence toward whomever has been delimited and denigrated to the status of being on the wrong side of that line. Don't cross my line, don't hop my fence, don't poke holes in my granary, don't take what's mine is the first act of theft, necessitating all further acts of theft by those cordoned off by the initial demarcating act of theft. In the primordial state, undifferentiated, we all belong. Property as a concept, still alien, inapprehensible. It's only in that first negation contained in the words mine, not yours, where the cycle of violent thievery can even be conceived. This one's called Apocalypsing on the Funk. Grandiloquent mendicants, megalomaniac transients, altruistic narcissists, interest-seeking, self-leavening breadwinners, high-fidelity, ingratiating, state-of-the-artful dodgers, blurry, inkblot, ledger-mildewed, melancholy narcoleptics, dyspeptic, dropsy-turvy, dovetail back-current gliders, sluggish dervishes, sloughed-off serpentine whirlwind, aching backspin, voices left hoarse and riderless, godless mystic impossibility addicts, accursed shareholders, spunky chasm spelunkers, knocked up and swelling with unknowable inevitables, rims spent and spokeless on forgotten go-kart ghost axles, axes askew, terra inferma, intemperate, temperature rising, jobless lumpen spandrel masses, washed up shoreline garbage truckers, indigent sword swallowing bandersnatchers, intransigent luddite sneak thief loan sharking transactors, huckster hustlers plumb out of marks and angles and bobbles, rotting beast entrail happy maggot detritus eaters, finally freed from economic usefulness constraints, superfluous and unexploitable. Yea, and the meek shall inherit the great toxic soup dumpling, and the ruling elites, with no one left to lord over and nothing left to do in, shield themselves behind gilded cages designated and delineated by algorithmetric predictability, and the children of the biodome certainty pod castration chambers, drawn down and in by an ache for an encounter with some sort of realness, slip through forgotten service corridors and tunnels, escape out into the open, join the so-called garbage dump people of the wasteland who toil and struggle and strive together in anarchic extended families attendant to the nature of mutuality and co-creation, and survive this 6,000-year blip called civilization.
So called.
This is sort of a romantic romantic and nostalgic one. It's like pulled from a journal I wrote in when I was 19 years old. I just kind of turned it into something. So anyway, it's kind of earnest and romantic. It's called Blue Polka Dot Dress. Remember when I was inside your blue polka dot dress? My arms coming out from the sleeveless shoulders, almost like being inside of you. That night for me, you became your polka dot dress, deep blue with creamy white dots, some larger, some smaller, a play of contrasts, giving rise to floating, ephemeral shadow dots, even deeper, darker blue, coming and going, there and not there, swirling in front of my eyes, overwhelming my senses, mesmerizing in their sliding away fleetingness, never allowing me to focus my attention for too long. Those dark, dancing, polka-dotted mirages existing for the briefest of instances in my sense perception. But I wasn't looking for a freeze frame. I didn't want you to give up your shadow dots to my vision. I just wanted to touch you in that clean white dot that you had spoken of. The one you made as big as the world so you could leap into it and take comfort there in your imaginary safe space. I wanted to be able to touch you like an angel might, without becoming the cause of any more suffering, and with an infinite capacity to take in all the pain and just let it slide away like shifting shadow dots as I danced before you from inside your polka dot dress. Yes, it was with precisely this kind of love that I wished to touch you, if recollection and a few blurry water-damaged lines from an old blue spiral ring notebook can be counted on to contain some shred of truth. How many minutes I got left?
We're at about 9.
About 9? All right, I'll go fast. All right, this is the long poem. So the pond scum is in here somewhere.
The pond scum is in this one?
He's in there, yeah.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure. I get all excited. You know.
All right, this is called Blue Luck Inverted. Blue luck inverted, an upside-down four-leaf clover, purplish, more red than dead, but still no better off for time spent in service. Overgrown and sulky, stuck in a quagmire, rowing in place in a tinny little boat. Nostalgic for a dream that seemed like destiny at the time, but never really manifested. True love converted, like a Sephardic Jew who, in order not to get caught in the snare of a Spanish inquisitor's plot and the attendant innovations and devices of a burgeoning trade in torture, surmises it would be wiser to hold his tongue, hide his faith and pride inside, resort to artifice and bide his time. Identity deflowered by a lustily papal penetration, architectonically tonifying its rapaciousness, consciousness invaders, creators of a new self, erected for the sole gratification of an expanding avarice. Empire churches gone wild, drunk on success, newly minted mental prison interior design services reconfiguring her every thought, impulse, and urge with interrogative precision. Queen Anne laced them up good when her turn came around. Kingdoms united in perpetuity, a couple of fat blood sausages and a sizable annuity. Set them up and lay them down, said the fat lady with the crown, and the wigatory two-party system sales caught a gust. To prime the pump and stump the growing throat lump of hungry masses still wallowing in filth into swallowing this bill of goods. Lump sum trust funds accruing interest for the well-fed landed gentry and their ilk. A pint of gin, a lump of coal, a crust of bread for the work-weary kept them bleary and consenting. A leaky lean-to with a single cot and a pot to piss in. Just enough time to get drunk, fuck, and pass out before it's back to heavy lifting on the docks if they had any kind of pull at all with Lady Luck, and thusly thrust into the future, feverish and blustery, a couple of conventional two-party parties. The truest, bluest pimps and panderers and their bestest bottom bitches. Party like hardened arteries stoned to the kidneys. Donors, freshly harvested, organs kept on ice for any on-the-fly transplant needs that might arise. The most heroic super savior surgeons at beck and call in the back hall with the rest of the charming hostesses and servants. Put 'em up and knock 'em down, a soul cry to the peons propped up on pedestals precariously poised in the neon night. Pull them down and drag them in by their ears to the center of the ring with all the rest, the dispossessed and disenfranchised, demoralized and depoliticized. Get them crazed and raged and frenzied and let them feed a little cinnamon and molasses, a little razzmatazz for they hungry asses, a little snake oil sales charm mixed in with just the right amount of false alarm to keep them distracted from what's really going on from the top of a soapbox or a milk crate at the corner of an empty lot on the edge of a sidewalk by a sewer grate. A little scorched earth birthright song and dance to fan the flames of hate and fear enough to put them in a trance, keep those fires burning, hungering for the flesh of a new scapegoat to sear and tear and rip to shreds, or at least keep them blind to the chains around their brains, squinting into the sun to catch a glimpse of what? Promises of greener pastures, always over the next hill or just out of sight past the horizon line. 15 minutes of fame simulates a satiating point of reference, sufficient significance for any fly-by-night meaning seeker to make their nest in. Gas chamber heat clocked eternal cinder slumbers in mind-numbing, soul-searing numbers. Gas chamber heat clocked eternal cinder slumbers in mind-numbing, soul-searing numbers. Early in and last to leave, easy bake furnace maintenance worker said, just doing my job as he clocked out from another graveyard shift. Somebody's got to tend these fires, work those extra hours, make that overtime pay, why not me? Genocide, the new quotidian humdrum beat with a mushroom cloud alarm clock. Front parlor pushed past the threshold, out into the street, professionalized. Birth and death reallocated to hospitals and funeral homes, relegated to the edges of awareness, left to fester unattended as we learn to feel a little more anxious and disgusted by all the gory details of childbirth. Let the doctors drug us up and cut us, bottle feed our babies formula for our convenience, Similac children living in the simulacra, and death, not just to fear it, but resent it with a vengeance, like we ought to be able to stave it off and live forever or some such nonsense. Duped by psychological fear desire ad campaigns, we hand over our miraculous beginnings and sacred endings, transmogrified, squeaky clean, sold back to us repackaged, indispensable services we never knew we needed. Next on the agenda, the living room takeover, domesticity rebranded and repurposed, a fabulous Technicolor makeover. TV sets, TV dinners in bright orange tang, the drink of the astronauts and teenagers, troubled youth, rebels without causes ad nauseum would never have been plausible before. Sectionals, hi-fi stereos, family rooms and great rooms, Pop-Tarts, space programs, a car in every driveway, college campus doors open just a little wider, a new chance to be the first in your family with a university degree. A real opportunity to stretch out adolescence, remodel and refurbish internal mental spaces, mold and craft and fabricate the perfect consumer, special, precious, important, and hollow in the center, like an individually wrapped fingerling sponge cake with a big black hole where they put the cream in. A never-ending supply of need to fill, over and over and over and over and over and over and over ad infinitum. Now that's some great fucking marketing. We learned to yearn for the flush of freedom we felt from an open sky rolling by on a well-paved stretch of highway, soon clouded over by smog, but we kept driving anyway to catch that rush of wind in our faces from behind the wheel of a large automobile, careening recklessly down crumbling roadways into the jammed-up gridlock of the present, and wondering how we ever got here in the first place. Keep the Manichaean machinations churning, the elemental extraction contraptions keep them pumping, bumping and scraping all the fracking crude they can to the last drop and all the metals, precious, semi-precious or not, but it doesn't really matter, does it? As long as we keep pulling this shit out of the ground, we can still get this easy money. They chortle giddily, gleeful fist bumps and ass slaps all around. Complicit, in agreement with their greedy logic, not to get while the getting is good, but just be stupid. Guns, gas, gold, minerals, coal, diamonds soaked in blood. From the Fertile Crescent to Africa to the South Pacific to Alaska to the Appalachians, and with a little more snow melt to beyond the Arctic, circle jerks with their O faces on full tilt, pushing it into the hilt, squeezing out every last iota of exploitable materia prima, going nuts, busting through the ceilings of the quota packages. A lewd concoction for a post-apocalyptic cocktail glass filled to the rim. Drug your dreams. Imprison your conscience, murder your profits, always keep a keen eye on your next quarter's profit margin, and remember to keep all those miscreants and malcontents on the margin. Promote your protean proto-homo sapiens aggressors as they brown-nose and bully their way into executive suites like bulldozing bulldogs with bullhorns and a penchant for laying waste to make way for glistening new glass buildings to beat and scrape the sky with. And a certain weakness for good con, an artful cheat, and the strong arm of a heavy-handed thief. Everybody wants to be czar or kaiser or king or whatever. Ponscom alert. But this one likes to daydream about opening up a chain-link fenced-in zone for golf course midway mega malls along every underexploited coastline from North Korea to Kazakhstan, so he can relaunch Orange Julius with his too much beta-carotene and his skin cream fat face as the mascot, and maybe sponsor a local sports team or two so he can get a fanfare parade whenever he rolls through, add fun new items to the menu like Caesar salad to pass the time and keep from losing interest, and special Twitter-tweet incentive treats for return customers to drum up business, and he could dole out ridiculously puny severance packages to all the little people he'd get to fire. And flat screen camera eyes disguised as framed portraits of his favorite fascists would hang on all the walls for every passerby to admire. Twitter, Tweety, Tweety-twoo, an absent-minded grin, drool dribbling lazily from his chubby orange chin, just some smarmy carny with a certain Elmer Fudd-type swagger, who somehow sneakily snaked his way into the big top center ring, much to the chagrin of the box seat bigwigs, bankrolling the whole shindig, pulling a fast one and pulling off his ugly fuck you pimp performance, the I am Donald J. Trump, billionaire, I own a hotel chain, a couple of skyscrapers, I have my own TV show, and I'm the goddamn president, and I'm gonna kill that wascally wabbit if it's the last thing I do. Or so they'd have you think, as he brazenly declares national debt bankruptcy to the IMF, seizing all public assets with his pudgy, pussy-grabbing digits, awkwardly fidgeting and blurting random rants at White House press conferences like some overblown, signifying infant orangutan. But pretty soon now, most likely, the masters of war and disaster who really run this shit show, their bean counter number crunchers calculating daily, blowback resilience, capacity projections, will let him down from his high seat, give him a clean bill of sale and a fresh bib and send him packing. Inaugurate the next distractingly captivating bad actor to star in this money laundering, live streaming, electoral political, survival island reality series still erroneously referred to by some as a representative democracy in action. Until what? We flip the clover over again. Rise together in unison, reclaim our better natures, Homo sapiens, almonds, out here in the commons. One can only hope, keep alive, and stay afloat.
Yo! Let's share! Come on! Come on! Come on! You heard it here first! Or second, whatever. Let's jam! Woo! All right! We're going to take a 6-minute break. Now, I got to tell you two things. We need to be ended by 10 because Teddy gets nervous. But we're doing well. Just try to go between 4 and 5, or even less depending. So share the time. The people in the first half did very well with that. So 6 or 7 minutes, this thing will be off. You can speak as you will. No one will listen. Even if it's me.